Stop thinking. Just be. These words came through me today. As I've been finding myself thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and not only thinking, but feeling the weight of my thoughts and the weight of my brain, like weighing down the experience of my body and of my life. It got to the point where somatically it felt like there was pressure in my head. There was just like squeezing. And there was a moment where I somatically breathed the weight down and connected it with my heart. And then I touched upon this gigantic anger that is concealed and repressed within my heart. Which I was in a public space at the farmer's market, and it wasn't the best spot for catharsis to be somatically expressed, let us say. So after coming home from the market, I usually bike from my apartment to the beach. But here I decided to walk. And to walk as absolutely slowly and attentively and intentionally as possible. To feel each of my footsteps with my bare feet on the earth, to feel each and every stone, its ridge, its edge. Now feeling the sand wet, almost like mud underneath my feet, and tracing the energetic presence of my being from my feet into a breathed awareness of my heart, while witnessing the thoughts wanting to come through my head. And this is really the moment when I was like, stop thinking, just be. And so I tried to stop thinking. I tried to just like, no more thoughts. And then of course my voice, my internal voice, my internal monologue comes back and is like, tee, I'm still here. What are you gonna do about it? So I had some moments of success of like, all right, silence for a little bit. Listen to what is happening around. Listen to the birds. Listen to the little cicadas or crickets or whatever they are. Listen to the river. Listen to the waves. Listen to the sound of engines walking by, driving by. One of my least favorite sounds on earth. attuning myself to my senses. At first I mentioned my feet, I mentioned my heart, I mentioned the sensations within my body, the tactile feeling of touch and of presence. Then the presence of sound, attuning to that sound. That might be as far as I got with the senses. Is it? The focus upon the senses is one strategy. As I was walking extremely slowly to the ocean, 3 kilometers, to tune out my thoughts, detach myself from them, and tune in to the presence of my embodied experience. Fundamental in assisting me here was the focus upon my breath. Not only upon my breath, but upon the way that my breath travels throughout my entire body in the form of awareness. So, I did that. And I recalled, in my attempt to stop thinking and just be, that this is an ageless practice of meditation. And that the cessation of thought is not the goal, but the witnessing of the thoughts that do emerge without clinging to them, without grasping, allowing them to flow and pass through the mind like ocean waves. Woo. Now, this is not to say that we should go around being thoughtless, mindless automata, irrational. Quite the contrary, it is about bringing deeper awareness to which thoughts are actually coming into and through our minds and into and through our bodies. And the thoughts themselves actually program the subconscious layers of our bodies, program the self-worth that we hold with regard to our bodies, program the subtle commingling interactions within the morphogenetic field of our bodies. I'm not even sure what that word is, but it wanted to come through. Morphogenesis. I'll look into it. Morpho, I believe, is about forming. Genesis is about coming into being, is about birth. So the birthing of the form of the body comes from the thoughts. So that this exercise in stopping my thoughts, which turn into observing my thoughts, is then an exercise in developing more awareness and consciousness and intention in my thoughts as they weave their way into my body and into my reality. I'll be very honest with you. This is not what was coming through entirely during the process of my walk earlier. A lot of this is coming through now. Like inner guidance telling me what I'm actually wanting to do. The purpose is to be present with everything that you do, and to cultivate that deeper presence, and to be intentional with that presence. Here I notice myself wobbling as I'm walking. I bring more intention and I bring stability to my experience. I slow my footsteps. I feel them planting into the earth. And in that subtle little shift and interaction, I begin to witness how my energy actually pours. The wave came in and tried to take me into the ocean womb. Pours into the ground, reaches with the roots of the soles of my feet, my Pisces, into the depths of the earth, sinking in the sand. So that one of the greatest exercises in becoming present is truly to slow down. Slow down. Intentional. ASAP. As slow as possible. So that there is a slight urge in my mind emerging that's like, oh, I remember a code that is related to this. I remember what was coming through earlier that is related to this. Let's pour it all out really fast. I have to sit with what that is. A little contrarian in my mind. The other thing that came through earlier, these birds. The other thing that came through earlier was that instead of allowing my mind to run its scripts and use me in a way that lacks clear intention and depth and care, I am remembering in an embodied way a remembrance which I often have, the power of my free will to choose and curate what behaviors I will pour my will into every moment, every day. I have become aware of ways in my life in which I tell myself I'm going to do one thing, and then I do another. I make promises to myself, and then I do not keep them. Sometimes I make the promises while knowing in the back of my mind, I know I'm not going to do that. To be clear about this, I told myself I would come to Costa Rica, and that once I'm there, once I'm all settled into one spot for some time, then I'll do all of these things. I'll do this, I'll do that. I'll organize my days and make sure that I do this practice every day, and this practice, and I'll create this whole structure. I've yet to do that. What I have done is create little baby steps towards that. And I've been okay with that. And I still am okay with that. But there is something about today that makes me want to experiment with going for it. With setting the standard higher. With using my free will to choose and list all of the things that I want to be doing with my time and my energy, with clarity, with purpose, with devotion, with prayer, with love, with healing. And to do them in a way that is more structured and continuous and disciplined. You're witnessing me having an internal battle about this. Between can and can't. Between the thoughts, which are rooted in my belief in that power, in my knowing of that power. Of course I have the ability, with my free will, to choose the behaviors that I engage in, and to create optimal systems for my thriving. course I do. And then I witness those thoughts. Let's say, oh, but what if I slip? Not only that, but what if I slip and I am speaking about it vulnerably on camera to the world for anyone to see? To which my empowered self says, first off, don't slip. It's up to you. Second off, who gives a fuck? We all slip and then we get back up. My goodness. Thoughts like, don't you know what always happens? Thoughts like, this is years and years and years of deep-rooted conditioning. Can you really do anything about it? So I witness the thoughts with presence. And I sit with them. And one practice in my life that I know helps me tremendously with all of this is my writing. And that makes me feel good. And that makes me feel alive. And that makes me feel fulfilled. And it makes me evolve. And it helps me process in the same way, in a similar way, but more artistic and more profound, as this processing that's happening right here. You are witnessing a man who has spent years of his life stuck in his mind, finding his way back into his body and into his heart, wherein the sacred presence can flow more simply, more fluidly, more presently. So, one commitment that I can make to myself and to whomever has witnessed this far in the video, that I will be writing a lot every day for the next 7 days. And I'm not going to speak about other commitments that I'm going to make, but I'm about to go and list and ponder and figure out what my next 7 days of transformation are going to carry in the form of intention. So if you've made it this far, thank you for being my witness. I feel like I've rambled on. I am going to make my slow walk back to the beach. Well, I'm on the beach. Wow! To the other part of the beach, and then home. So I leave you with many blessings. I hope you could hear me well, and I hope that you will find peace and love and truth and freedom within your heart, right here, right now, and in all moments to come. Thank you.